Hello and welcome to another benefit of the Doud review. I am your host, Adam Doud, and joining me as always is our lead reviewer in this video, Mr. Cliff Thomas. Cliff, how you doing?
Definitely getting more reviews than I used to. I might need a raise.
Yeah, well, I just gave you a title bump. That's all you're getting.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. Why not? Why not?
But
It's fun.
yeah, so you're taking the reins on this particular review as well because you have been using the Lenovo Yoga Slim 7X Copilot Plus PC with Snapdragon X Elite processor. That is the most jargon that I have ever put into any sentence that I've ever spoken in my life, and I'm actually kind of proud that I didn't stumble over it at all.
That was exactly what it's called. So you definitely got it right. It's
Yeah,
its name is a sentence, just missing a verb.
It really is. Although snap is a verb, so it has a verb. It's just not in the right order.
That's true. And in context, it isn't. But yeah, I mean, you could definitely we'll workshop it.
It's got one of these.
That's right. You were there at when they announced it over there in Hawaii, you lucky duck.
Yeah, I'm going back too.
I'll just be here in my bunker.
Yeah, you just stay there in your bunker. I'm sure it'll be totally fine.
It'll be great. I won't be jealous at all.
But actually, no. So ever since I went to Snapdragon Summit last year, I have been on pins and needles, like waiting for the Snapdragon X Elite laptops to start dropping. And now you've got one, and you've been using it for probably
about a month,
right?
Yeah. I've actually, just because of that. So we went on hiatus, and it just so turned out that when we went on hiatus, we got a bunch of review devices.
We did.
But kind of like all at once, and so what you're seeing now is everything just kind of trickling out. I'm happy about that though, because it's rare to get this long for like such an anticipated device to get to use it before you actually review it. So I feel like I've put it through its paces, at least in all the ways that I would normally do it. I'll just say this: I haven't traveled with it. I haven't, I haven't done the coffee shop thing. So I don't have any of those like cool shots, but we do have Slappy, which we can bring on here in a little bit. But yeah, I just like you, I have been so excited to get my hands on my grimy little mitts on a Snapdragon X Elite chipset, which really, I mean, just kind of came out of the blue for me, at least when they announced that when you were there. Like, finally, because I have actually owned an ARM64 based Windows laptop before, and wow, and it was a Surface, so really nice hardware, but just it's just unfortunate because there just hasn't been much to any apps that I use, at least that were optimized for ARM on Windows. So
yes,
I think because of the promise of this because of the promise of this processor, the fact that it seems like a lot of manufacturers are that previously had not released, or at least hadn't released many in terms of ARM based Windows laptops, are now behind it, including Dell, HP, obviously Lenovo,
Microsoft.
Microsoft.
Microsoft's flagship Surface
Asus
devices were all Snapdragon X hardware. So
right. And so we'll talk about my experience with that, and I think we're going to maybe have a different podcast where we talk about it, I think, a little bit more in depth. So keep your eyes peeled for that in the next few weeks or so.
I was going to say, normally at this point, I'd bring up the fact that I've also been using a Snapdragon X Elite PC and give my impressions of it, but that's going to be a whole other podcast.
Exactly.
Coming to patreon.com/benefit of a Doud. So pay attention to that. That is going to be the next edition of the Doubting Thomas podcast that is going out to El Patrons only. So make sure you subscribe to patreon.com/benefit of the Doud. But yeah, so let's go ahead and dive into this particular laptop. It's the Yoga Slim 7X. It's a 14-inch laptop, which is a good size. Like The one I've been using has been like a 16-inch, and I think
Right.
it's only almost a little bit too big, but it's also not big enough. So,
I don't know.
well,
I've had one
yeah.
16-inch laptop before. That was my MacBook Pro with the M1 Pro. So that's my experience with an ARM-based laptop, or not
Mhm.
ARM-based, but I guess
Well, it's M1, so it is ARM.
technically because
Yeah.
it is based on ARM reference designs as far as the
Yeah.
M1 chipset is concerned. But I mean, it's a RISC-based processor. Either one of these are. So uh, the 16-inch size is nice. I think where this particular laptop is slotted in is sort of to balance in between the MacBook Air in both of its sizes, because I think there's a 13
Yeah.
and a 15, and this comes in at 14 and a half. So this is
Yeah.
nearly just desktop replacement, and then the screen is being at 14 and a half inches is very usable. Like I don't really
Mhm.
feel the need to hook up like a secondary display with it, but so
Yeah.
this is from their yoga line. Here's what's really strange though. This is one of the first things I was like, what, yoga? Because unlike every other yoga that I have used, whether it's a ThinkPad or just a Lenovo branded laptop, the whole yoga thing meant that it's that there are two in one, right? That it
Mhm.
folds all the way back, and usually they have like stylus support and all that kind of stuff, and come with one sometimes.
Yeah.
This, while I assume that it might have stylus support, does it's more of a standard form factor.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know what that means for Lenovo, except I guess that yoga maybe means more than it used to, and it's kind of its own product line. But
It's all about flexibility
I
and yeah.
sure, why not?
Yeah,
So
why not?
should we bring a Slappy on?
Yeah, let's go ahead and slap on Slappy. Let's do it. Here we go. And Bongo, there is, and then we'll do a little bit of window reorganization and bada
Yeah.
bing.
Oh, good. You can see the edge of my table.
I don't
That's
want that
exactly
one.
what I
I want
wanted.
that one. Yes, yes. I mean, honestly, when it comes to framing, we really wanted to make sure we could see the edge of that table. So,
Yeah, I'm
well
kind of.
done, well played, sir.
You guys get to see things that are not meant to be seen. I'm actually switching mics right now
Oh, okay.
to this. So now I should sound a little bit different.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Turn towards your table. I'll let you know.
Yeah. So here I am.
Okay. Yep.
I'm opening up the laptop, and I thought with this angle at least you kind of get. Unfortunately, the screen looks really distorted, but you can actually fold
Right.
it almost all the way flat, but not
Yeah.
quite. This is actually as far as it goes back. But before I show you the insides of it here, we're going to go ahead and just give you a hardware overview. First of all, it comes in
Okay.
this blue color. I think it's called cosmic blue. Cosmic blue, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
And
Sounds
it
right.
is very slim. I mean, this design reminds me a lot in terms of, you can definitely tell that their target audience and their target size and everything is it's definitely heavily inspired by Apple's MacBook Air designs, especially
Mm-hmm.
the last generation. I do like this cosmic blue, except for one thing,
Mm-hmm.
but between the material and the finish on it, it is a fingerprint magnet. Like I have this
Oof.
handy dandy microfiber cloth, and I
Right.
am just because I am maybe just a little bit OCD. I'm just constantly doing this, and it doesn't matter whether or not it's inside or outside. I wiped this down before we started
Mm,
recording, and I can still see just handprints all over it, and that drives me nuts. And like I
I
said,
can
it's
see
just
that.
like that on the inside. You
I
got
can
your.
see that. Yeah.
Let's see. Trying to see if these are Torx heads. Yeah, these are okay. So to get inside this, you can actually get inside it. The RAM is soldered to the motherboard,
Mm-hmm.
which this comes with 16 gigabytes of DDR5, but
Okay.
it does have an NVMe slot for an SSD. The
Mm,
one that it ships with is a 512 gigabyte, which is fine. I think for most people. But if you wanted to,
yeah.
you could open this up if you have some Torx screwdrivers and then a spudger, and you just go around the edge of it and pop it off there. There's your
Yeah.
ventilation.
I think 512 is about the minimum. That's
I
acceptable these
I think
days.
I'd
At
agree
least
with
for
that.
me. At least
And
for
you see
me.
you've got your
Yeah.
bottom facing speakers.
Mm-hmm.
And then let's see if I can fit in the ports. There we go. So this has 3 USB uh, USB-C 4 or USB 4 with a USB-C connection. 2 on this side.
And 1 on the other
And
side.
1 on this side. And on this side, you also have a handy dandy power button and then a switch here that will block the
shutter.
camera on the inside.
Yeah, that's cool.
I actually like, and I do like having the power button on the outside because a lot of times I run this through a dock, and I have some other laptops in which you have to open in order to power it on, and it's not a deal breaker by any means, but it's just this is just a better placement in my opinion.
Yeah, it's an extra step.
So
does that one have a? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No. What were you gonna ask?
I was gonna ask. Does that have a fingerprint sensor around it, or what kind of?
It does not. I was actually gonna yeah. So this on the inside when you open it up, again, 14.5-inch display, and it is an OLED, 3K OLED. I believe the nits of brightness is 300 with a maximum of like 1,000 temporarily. So plenty bright enough and nice deep blacks, all that good stuff. Probably shouldn't have this right here. It's
3K display.
3K display, right?
1,000 nits of peak brightness, which is actually a lot for a laptop. You don't.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It's definitely. I've had no issues reading this in different kinds of light, so that has not been an issue. Cool. Nice to see, and it's nice to see. I mean, honestly, and we'll talk about the price later, but this really, for everything that it gives you, feature wise, it's loaded for its price, which we'll talk about. But you asked if it has a fingerprint reader. It does not. However, it has a 1080p front facing camera. That also has Windows Hello built in, so it's got the I think it's like infrared combined with like a depth sensor.
Yeah. And Lenovo always has that that presence detection, which
this does have. It is so nice. Some people might find it a little creepy because, like, you can set it down like this and walk away, and the screen will dim, and then as you walk up to it, it comes back up, and it just lights back up and unlocks itself if you're close enough. But it'll even if you're not sitting in front of it, it'll say, "Oh, there's motion here. I'm going to like prepare myself to turn back on." And so, yes, it's so convenient. If you haven't used a laptop with it before, try one in like a Best Buy or something. I guess it'd be kind of hard to do without set.
I don't know.
Yeah, but just the presence detection part of it is really cool. And when I use a laptop now that doesn't have it, combined with the Windows Hello facial recognition, which you can actually tie in now, if I remember right, to with Microsoft services for like passwords and stuff like that. So Microsoft is tying more things in to make it more like a smartphone, like as an example, an iPhone that has that with what is Apple's Face
ID? Face
ID. Face ID. There you go. I don't know. The brandings get away from me. It's fine. It's fine. It's totally fine.
Totally. I mean, the one thing that I like about the laptop that I've been using, it has a fingerprint sensor, and 1Password can tie to that, and so it's so convenient. Like when I'm on my main PC here, which is still the Lenovo Tower that we reviewed a couple months ago, there's no fingerprint sensor on there, which I guess I could add one if I wanted to like buy one and plug in the USB port and then go like if I want to unlock it. But just having that on the laptop, it's like when I'm trying to sign into something, it's just like boop, done. It's so
the convenience of having security built into biometrics. That's the word I was looking for. Is really handy. So the thing we haven't mentioned is we briefly discussed it. I briefly discussed it was the fact that this is the one of the first Copilot Plus PCs from a Microsoft Windows vendor of PCs. Lenovo, which I believe is actually number 1 in the world at this point, which is kind of crazy. But
there were like 50 some of them announced back in June, but
this is one of the first ones that you'll see are getting into the hands of reviewers. One thing you will see just looking here is how slim the bezels are on this. It's pretty crazy.
Oh wow, yeah.
And I love the fact that this is one of the we're just doing like hardware stuff, right? Is like the one-handed open. Now this has the little hump on the what will be the top of the display when you open it, and smooth hinge no like
Nice.
floppy on with the base of it. But it's
Yep.
also, while it's very smooth and the effort is not hard, it also doesn't like drift down. Like it's got plenty of retention for that, which is really nice. And
Right.
you just saw Windows Hello recognize me again and bring me back into Windows.
And we didn't even make you type your password on camera.
That's right, Jim. So one of the things that I was really concerned about, just because of my previous experience with Windows on laptop, Windows on ARM laptops, is, as I mentioned, just the fact that um, there weren't a lot of native pieces of software that I use, like the Adobe Creative Cloud, um, and various other pieces of software. So it was always running on top of emulation, and that's if it would launch at all. Like Lightroom would, I think, launch at some point before these Copilot Plus PCs would launch, but it was running on top of emulation that basically makes Windows think that it's an ARM, or I'm sorry, an x86
Right.
or a app, and running in that layer combined with the fact that unfortunately the Snapdragon ARM processors that had come up before were not exactly the most powerful. They had more in common with smartphone processors than they did in terms of performance to
Sure.
the best hardware out there for Windows laptops. But so this is a game changer in terms of, I haven't benchmarked this. I don't really believe that much in running benchmarks because they're kind of arbitrary. I prefer just the experience. But those that have run benchmarks have found that this is equivalent to like a MacBook, an M3, an M3 at least, in terms of performance. Single core was a little bit better on the M3, but in multi-core performance, this is hands down better than what Apple's current hardware in like a MacBook is doing. So that's exciting. The fact that we finally caught up in that, and the other part of it to me that's great is like there's actually some ARM software or ARM optimized software for Windows that's out there now. I believe at the launch of these PCs, Photoshop and Illustrator were available, and from Adobe, and then Adobe has, I believe, Premiere Pro and InDesign coming in. They said July. It might be. I haven't seen any announcements about that since then, though, so they may be running a little bit behind. I don't even see any beta versions available in the Creative Cloud app. But the point is that it's coming, which is great. And I've been using Photoshop on this PC, and it runs just fine. I'll just launch it here for the heck of it, so you can see. The launch time is not bad. Photoshop launch time is always bad. It really doesn't matter what PC it's on.
The launch time is not bad, he said to Dead Air.
But
so, no, it's up now. It's good.
Yeah,
it's good.
So we'll just, and I'm also trying out some other software that's out there from competitors to Adobe. One of those is DaVinci Resolve from Blackmagic. They're actually a camera hardware manufacturer that also offers their basic video editing software for free. Right now it's just in beta, but again, it launches pretty quickly. And I've enjoyed using the software. I actually have expressed my opinion to Adam that I actually like DaVinci Resolve more than Premiere for just the real basic kinds of editing that I do.
Yeah.
I know. Everybody.
I was able to toss together a video the other day, about, like, I don't know, 2 minutes long, less than 2 minutes long, I think, and it was fine. It wasn't amazing, but it was fine. It was fairly intuitive.
But I have found the render.
Oh, go ahead. I
was just going to say I found the performance
DaVinci Resolve.
Since we can't test Premiere Pro with a native version, I will say though that Premiere Pro will run on this laptop, which just under I forget what
emulation.
Their Rosetta is called. Rosetta was what Apple used for when they first moved from
have a name for the emulator.
Yes, they do, and I just can't remember what it was. But in any case, I have found that performance with ARM optimized apps is pretty good. Premiere Pro is still supposed to be usable for most things when it's emulated, but hopefully we won't have to worry about that too much longer. I'm also trying out some software
from the name of the emulator, by the way.
What is it?
Prism.
Prism. Okay. Oh, and I just really did a explosive P there. Prism.
You did.
But so this is a suite of software from Affinity, which is produced by a company called Serif that was recently purchased by Canva. And Canva, as if you haven't been paying attention, is kind of like Adobe Creative Cloud, but for Generation Z. Everything is much more what you see is what you get. It has a lot of templates in it, and it allows people that aren't necessarily skilled in graphic design to still create things. And this is, from what I understand, supposed to be more of their Creative Cloud competitor. And the fact that they've already got ARM optimized versions is really cool. Also, right now they're offering a 6-month free trial with it. And I believe the price, if you want to get this particular version of it, I think it's $70 for a license. And that's not a, recurring monthly payment like Creative Cloud. That's a perpetual license. And then I'm sure you'll have to pay an upgrade fee for the next version. But still,
that's not bad.
It's a really good deal for what it offers. I have been trying to learn it, and this is obviously, we're not here to talk about this, but it's just interesting to use some, because I'm just trying to try some stuff that's optimized for ARM processors to kind of see how that performs. Now, one of the things I wanted to use video editing software was to see some of the how it performs under some heavier loads than just web browsing. This is advertised with 2-day battery life, basically.
Yeah, multi-day battery
life. Yeah, they're not very they're pretty non-committal on what that actually means, or at least Lenovo.
Yeah,
is.
and it doesn't say, Lenovo doesn't say this on the product page for the Yoga Slim, but for the T14S, which is another one that I have, it has the same multi-day battery life claim, but after that it says in parentheses 1 day equals 24 hours.
24 hours.
So, well, I mean, what I think they're trying to say is, like, this isn't just like 2 working days at 16 hours. They're talking about like
all day battery life,
24 hours plus, which, I mean, I don't know about you, that has not been my experience.
That has not been my experience. Although this is bested any other laptop that I have in my inventory right now of laptops that I actually work on.
Arguably.
So the battery life is really good. Doing the stuff that I do, which is a ton of browser tabs open, and then some what is mostly light Photoshop work and video editing work, I'm getting anywhere from 8 to 14 hours, which is I think very competitive with just about anything else that's out there. And I do believe that if you were to and I'm also running on like the automatic detection based on my work for the power settings on it.
The
and
best
so
balance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm not I mean, if I was to bump down the screen brightness and set it to where it's trying to conserve battery life, I'm sure I could get, much longer battery life out of it, but then my work would be getting done slower, so it's really not productive for me.
Right, exactly.
So you're talking about, and this is what I come back to about, I don't really like to rely on what a manufacturer's claims are. I think the best way to do it, and it is going to be different for everyone because everybody uses computers differently, but for my workload, it's about 8 to 14 hours.
Okay, yeah.
And one thing I have noticed, while this does have fans on it, it very rarely ever comes on. I do not notice the fans spooling up. It also does not get hot, except during charging sometimes, if I actually have this set aside. But I mean, I shouldn't say hot, warm. So that's really nice because it's competing against the MacBook Air, which is fanless. So that, having a silent, I if I want white noise, I can go to YouTube and ask it to play some. So I don't need ambient noise from my laptop from fans. So that's really good, especially for something that is, I mean, it is a very thin and light laptop. I believe this is 2.82 pounds for a 14.5-inch laptop. That's really good. Honestly, stunningly so. If this is another one, it's not quite to like LG gram levels of lightness, but it's pretty close.
It kind of makes you wonder though, like what the LG Gram could do with Snapdragon
Oh, I'm sure
X
we'll see
Elite
one.
processor.
I'm
Yeah,
sure
I
we'll
know.
see one eventually. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. But if you've ever handled an LG Gram, like if you actually press down, you get a lot of flex in the keyboard
Mm-hmm.
or in the tray. And even when you're picking it up, it's got a little bit of like a droopy feeling. And because they're
Okay.
using magnesium, which is, I think, a pretty soft material for a lot of the stuff. But in order
Gotcha.
to get it as lightweight as possible, this is all, I think it's
Yeah.
like 70% recycled aluminum. And that's one of Lenovo's focuses now. I know this kind of feels like marketing speak, but it actually is impressive when you get, if you order this laptop and you receive it and all the packaging inside, all of it is made from recycled materials and is recyclable, as far as
Right.
I could tell, which is really cool. Because most of the time, unless
Right.
you're
And
me or maybe a few other people, that just goes right to the dumpster. And
right.
it's nice that it
Well,
can be recycled.
and it's also in terms of durability, I noticed it has military standard
It's built
810H
810, which is
durability.
great.
So
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
yeah, that's I wonder. It kind of makes me wonder if the military is ever going to like increase their like
Or
everything's military grade now. Maybe we're just not asking for enough, you know.
that could be. This is also
But
at least this is the only color that this laptop is available in, at least for the moment. But it is very stealthy. You can see the
mm-hmm.
contrasted finish yoga, but that's not like
Yeah,
silk screened on or anything. That's the same material. They just laser etched it in there.
yeah,
And the
and the
same thing
trackpad is huge.
with what's on the hood. With
Yeah,
what's
yeah.
so
But
it is a very stealthy, very attractive laptop. Now, one thing it does not have, it does have a huge trackpad, which I welcome from
right,
Lenovo. They have not been
sure,
the fastest to adopt the giant trackpads a la Apple. Samsung really was the first one I saw to equal or better what Apple was doing. Theirs are like an ice skating rink. It's ridiculous. This does
right,
have.
right,
Hmm?
right. Oh yes, yes.
So this does have a glass trackpad. It is not haptic, unlike some other Lenovo laptops that I've used, and not like a MacBook Air, but it is very clicky. And
Mm-hmm.
then, like pretty much just about any Lenovo laptop I have used, you've got really well done switches on the
Keyboard,
keyboard. Yeah, they have
nice.
3 millimeters of travel, and then they are
Okay.
sculpted just a little bit, which is nice. And it does have backlighting options. Kind of hard to
Oh,
see
very
here.
cool.
Can you see it
Yeah,
on camera?
keyboards without backlights can just go away.
And I'm going through different levels here. Yeah, I agree. You don't realize how much you miss it until it doesn't have it. Right now, it's
Until you
not
don't have
on.
it. Yeah.
So I go boop. There's your different
Yeah.
levels.
Mm-hmm.
So
Love it. Love it.
one thing that this it's even in the name is the oh gosh, what's the AI name from Windows Copilot Plus? There we go.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
Copilot Plus thing for me has, I mean, first of all, it has a lot to do with the fact that one of the things that's been most marketed or the materials from Snapdragon will tell you is all about it's a neural coprocessor that's like 51 gigaflops or 51 flops, something ridiculous. It's
Mm-hmm.
way more than any neural processor from its competitors. I mean, that's something that Intel made a big deal about with its Ultra series that it came out with this year, and the Snapdragon X Elite just absolutely blows it away. But here's the thing: there's just not a lot to do with it right now, other than just some fun things. It does do generative AI now in images in gosh, what is their Photos app, or not their Photos app, but Microsoft Paint. That's what I was trying to think of, where you draw a picture and then it will try to create a painting or a picture based on uh, the words that you input as a description and then the drawing that
Right.
you enter. But I don't know how useful that is. It's fun, kind of in the same way that the generative AI stuff from Samsung in their latest flagship phones is
Mm-hmm.
fun, but arguably maybe not something that you'll be using a whole lot. So I know that
Fair.
Copilot is great for its integration into things like your calendar, scheduling stuff, especially if you're all into the Microsoft ecosystem of stuff like Outlook. However, for me, it's more of just marketing hype than anything else. And that seems to be the case with AI in general now, as far as the valuation of companies that are like,
yeah.
So
we could have a very long conversation about
yes,
AI.
we could. But it is such a big part of the Snapdragon X Elite pitch that I just kind of wanted to talk about my experience with it. It's there.
Yeah.
I don't really use it for much. But it is tied into a lot of things now, including if you use Edge as your browser, there's a little tab that will pop out and suggest things for you, and suggest grammar and things like that changes. And yeah, it's there. That's about all I can say for it. So to kind of recap, really great hardware as far as the way it feels. The material fit and finish is really good. You have an almost bezel-less display. I mean, it's hard to do much more than that. It really feels like the future. And OLED displays on laptops are just awesome. And it's really hard to go away from them once you've used them. Really lightweight, 8 to 14 hours of battery life. In my experience, Windows Hello is great to have on it. And I mean, honestly, the way I would kind of describe this laptop after using it for a month, I can make this my only laptop, or my only computer, my only computer, I should say. It can do everything, honestly, that I want, except for maybe gaming, and I game very rarely. So
well, there's one other thing that I can't do, and I don't want to let this review go away without saying this, and we will definitely mention this again when we talk about Snapdragon in the future. It does not support Google Drive, because Google Drive does not have an ARM compatible. In fact, it doesn't even run in emulation. If you try to install it, it just says, nope, we can't do that. Sorry, have a nice day. And now, maybe not for you, but for me, Google Drive is a hugely important part of my workflow. And like, yes, I can do a lot of what I want to do in a browser, but when it comes to syncing files back and forth, that I cannot do. And that is maddening. But
so my sort of response to that is going to be, it's very early days still.
Oh yeah,
for Snapdragon Elite and ARM on Windows as a platform. And while it's surprising that they have, like Google as an example, just in the last like 3 or 4 months released a version of Chrome that is compatible with Windows on ARM. And so even with, you know, some of the larger software developers out there and service providers, it's taking them a long time to compile their apps to work on ARM-based Windows laptops. And hopefully as more of these sell, as more of them are in people's hands, the echo chamber will grow louder in terms of demand for those pieces of software. And so hopefully, especially for major things like Google Drive, for example, you know, we'll start to see. Now, here's something and I'm actually running a USB mic right now, not because I want to, I'm actually plugged into an Intel-based laptop right now, but the reason I have this hooked up is
sorry. Busted. I'm just kidding. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, you can actually, unless it's magically wireless. But the reason I have this hooked up is because, and I've tried this with multiple USB to so basically, I'm trying to, it's not a DAC, but it's a digital audio workstation that adapts for XLR mics, which is what I have a lot of them when I generally use, but they are not compatible right now with Windows on ARM, which is weird because USB mics almost without fail work just fine. Why that is, I don't know. There's something in the crossover there that just doesn't seem to work as far as drivers are concerned. And it's across the board. I went out and researched just to see if I could find one that's compatible. I know Paul Thurrott had an issue with his Focusrite Scarlett, which is one of the more popular USB XLR units out there, and there's no support from them. I have mine is from Blackline Audio, which was very niche. But again, it's one of those. I guess the reason I'm talking about this is there are just certain things that you're going to run into. It seems like right now with Windows on ARM that whether it's Google Drive, whether it's what I was just mentioning, there are just going to be certain hiccups that you're going to run into, which, you know, for some might be a deal breaker. So I think the ecosystem is going to rapidly get better because of the potential success of this platform. And for most things, I have had no issues. And so I think, especially for someone who just maybe does a little bit of photo editing, maybe does a little bit of video editing, or just office work, especially if you're all within Microsoft's like Office 365 environment, Teams, all that kind of stuff, this is a perfect office or like basic creative laptop. It's hard to beat it, honestly. And it's the closest thing I've come to using a MacBook in terms of just battery life, thinness, construction. So it very much is like a MacBook for Windows people in the best way possible. And I really like it, and I'm going to continue to use it.
Excellent. And I think that's a great way to wrap things up. So thanks for everybody for checking out this review of the Lenovo Yoga Slim X 14-inch Snapdragon Copilot Plus PC. And this will be available on our channel, and also this will be available in an audio form on our new patrons only podcast feed. So you should go check that out if you want to listen, if you want to hear us back on the audio feeds. But otherwise, I think for now, that's just about going to wrap things up. So let's get that new outro out the door, and we'll put this one to bed. Oh, hi there. Thanks for watching. If you made it this far, then you obviously liked what you saw. So why not take it a few small steps further? How about you drop a thumbs up on this video and maybe hit that subscribe button?
And while you're there, move that pointer over a few pixels and click the bell. All of that will ensure that we get noticed on the YouTubes, and we can make more of these videos just for you.
And if you want to go even a little bit further, you can head over to patreon.com/benefitofthedoud and sign up for as little as just $2 per month. And for that, you'll get early access to our videos and some bonus content that we don't show on the main channel.
Plus, we're cooking up new perks and benefits all the time. So go to patreon.com/benefitofthedoud and sign up today.
That's patreon.com/benefitofthedoud. And as always, we thank you for watching and for giving us the benefit of the Doud.